And when I graduated, I went right directly into the business of editing, music editing, sound editing for feature films. And, you know, one of the great things about editing is that's where you learn to finish films. If you know filmmakers, you may know of them as people who may take many years to make a movie sometimes. A lot of times they're stalled because they haven't had that intense workout where you learn to finish. And editing is all about finishing. So being in that environment was really crucial for me. And you know, coming up in the film production world is another place where you learn to do events, because every film is an event, whether it's 30 cops running on the street in the middle of New York, or whether it's one person sitting in their kitchen pondering what they're going to eat for breakfast. You know, you have to stage it, you have to create an event, and many hundreds of people can sometimes be involved. And so that sort of background is what led me to, or I should say grounded me with the experience to do things like That's VoiceOver and the Voice Arts Awards, and to establish a corporation that manages those events.
Somebody asked a question here and said, what is your idea? They said, how did you start out in the industry itself, the voiceover industry itself, as a scout, a VO talent, or a vocal director? I know you started with editing and film, television.
Yes,
but how did you
I started as I guess you'd call it a vocal director. But what happens is, so I was doing promos for ABC News. That's a major network here in the States, and they have a lot of celebrity talent that do their shows. And so my job was to look at a show each day, digest that show, figure out the hot sound bites, and write a script that would be compelling to draw an audience to that particular episode, whether it was a segment within a larger show, or whether it was an entire show that we were promoting. And so I came into that as a writer and producer. That was my job. Find the pictures, write the script, select the music, and then go into an editing room where you would, in those days at least, you had an editor, and you had an assistant director, and you had a couple of production assistants. And you would come in like maestro and conduct the whole thing.
Wow.
But at one point I get there, I'm doing this work, and all of a sudden someone says, who's going to do the voiceover? And I said, yeah, we need a voice actor. I hadn't even thought about it. They had thought about it, and they already had someone lined up, because they already had a regular guy who did a particular show. So this person walks in, and I'm kind of like stunned. Okay, here's a new guy. I got to direct this guy now. And my directing has come from short films and feature films and documentaries. So this was new, to direct someone for a 30-second spot.
Wow.
Lucky for me, he knew exactly what to do already. He had been doing promos for this network for several years. So all I had to do really was help him with the timing to make sure that it wasn't 1 second over or 1 second under.
Yeah.
I got to sit back and listen to what he was doing. Now, prior to having to direct someone, we would do scratch tracks, we call them. So the director would do his own voiceover for the piece, just to get the timing straight, so you could go ahead and edit it before the actor came in. And sometimes I would think to myself, well, what I did is pretty good. Why don't we just use that? That's pretty good. We could save money. Yeah. And then the voice actor would come in and lay down his track. And I would say, oh my God, this is amazing. How do these people do that? I would be ashamed. I was ashamed of what I had done once I heard the voice actor come in and do his thing. And but then some projects got to be a bit more complicated. And so I had to really train myself to understand how to direct a 15-second, a 20-second, a 30-second spot, and really get everything I wanted out of it, especially if it was a novel piece that we didn't already have a voice actor to do. We had to find a voice talent that we wanted for this particular special. And so I would say to the voice actor, here, take this script. I'm going to go in the booth. You direct me so I can get a sense of what you go through.
Right.
When someone's out there directing you. That was another eye-opening experience. That's when I really got a sense of what actors need to hear from a director to feel comfortable, to feel nurtured, and to understand what it is you want from them.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got to into directing voice talent specifically. And then I married a voice actor.
Right.
And that's when I really started to see the voice actor's plight, what they deal with day to day. And I fell in love with the craft. First of all, it's the most playful, most fun part of doing a commercial or a promo or any sort of voiceover work or project that requires voiceover. Yeah. Because when the voice actor comes, finally you get a chance to play. You know, you got an actor on your hands now, somebody who's there to bend and be molded and to bring what they feel and understand to the table. And so I always looked forward to the voice actor coming in. Right. It's an amazing craft. It's an amazing. Okay, the next question here says, as far as scouting is concerned, what is your criteria for selecting talented voice-over artists? So if you were to scout for maybe a commercial or a documentary or a short film, what would be your criteria, for selecting a talented voiceover talent? Yes. Well, I always start with the script. So the script is the first voice of the piece. Before the voice actor comes, there's a script and it has a voice. If you pick up a book or you pick up a newspaper or you pick up a script and you start to review it, you start hearing a voice for it. I'm not talking about the work when you're doing the voice acting. Yeah. But when you're not focused on how am I going to sound, but you're just reading something for yourself. It could be a letter you receive in the mail from a company, about some business that you're contracting, and you read it. You hear a voice in your head. You don't think about it. You just hear it. Sometimes you can tell whether it's male or female, or you can tell whether it's an authority or whether it's friendly. But the words begin to speak to you and tell you what kind of voice you need. Now, as a producer, creative director, you've already started thinking about those things. If it's a product or it's it's all product, but if it's a product for sale, like off the shelf kind of product versus a program like a television show, right? You've already started to develop what the voice of that show is, the brand of that show. And brands tend to be male or female. They can also be a combination. I always say this. Yes, and brands can be friendly or authoritative or professorial, or they can be playful or serious. So all of these things create the voice of the brand. And as you come to understand that voice as a creative director, you start hearing it, whether it's male or female, young or old, gravelly or smooth, etc. And that's sort of the first process for me in deciding whether I want to go for a male or a female and the type of voice that we want for a particular brand. So first of all, it's the script for you. The script determines the kind of voice talents that you call for whatever job it may be, right? That's correct. Yes. Right. The script is the first voice. Exactly. The script is the first voice. Now this one says, do you extend scouting to VO talents in Africa? If yes, how do people leverage on opportunities to put themselves on the radar, right? Well, that's a good question. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to use any talent from Africa, right? And it's not typical that I would reach out to Africa. It's changing now, with the portability of studios and being able to access people anywhere in the world. That's one thing. That's one positive. The other positive is that many brands are looking for unique voices. And when people have accents, for example, or regionalisms that are specific to the area where they grew up, like in America, we would think of their northern accents and southern accents, East Coast, West Coast, and middle America. So sometimes you're looking for that kind of thing, but we've always required that voice actors have what we call standard American speech, which is sort of clean and no one can tell where the voice comes from. That's all changing. Sort of neutral, like a neutral kind of accent, right? Yes. Now that's changing now because the world is becoming more inclusive of voices, and people are looking for naturalistic sounds. And when you want something that's naturalistic, you have to include all the different kinds of voices, because natural is not a bland world of neutral. You know, so if you're making a movie, for example, your characters are different races, different sizes, different weights, different voice types, and that's what makes the world seem realistic in a movie. And the same goes for voice acting. You can't have all the voices sound one way. The brands are not the same. The voices are not the same. And you're also appealing to different audiences. So sometimes I'm doing a product and I'm appealing to women specifically, and it may be a product that only women use, or for men. I may be appealing to a certain age group. I may be appealing to a certain racial group. And so you often select voices that you think will help cut through.
Exactly. So the target audience is also very important in selecting or casting your voices, right?
Absolutely. The target audience means everything. It even changes the voiceover and how they approach it. And in much the same way as our voices change when we're talking to a police officer, for example. Right. We don't think about it, but if a police officer stops you and wants to talk with you about something, everything changes. On the other hand, on the other hand, if you turn around to talk to a young child, again, your voice changes.
Exactly.
You don't think first, oh, let me change my voice because he's only 8 years old. You automatically, you naturally find a different tempo and a different tone to speak to a child. So this, so that's, that gives you an insight into how do you speak to a target audience and allow it to be natural. You think about who that audience is. You don't just say, well, here's how I speak and this is what I'm going to do, and expect all audiences to really resonate with that. They won't necessarily. We also target audiences based on when we're reaching them. So if I'm doing a commercial that begins during the day, early in the morning, here in America, that's going to probably be mostly a female audience. And later at night, there's more of a mixture of audiences, but people are in a different mood at night. And you can speak to them differently. It's sort of like after I've had a cocktail and I'm in a restaurant, I'm talking with friends, I speak differently than in the morning. I just got up, I just showered, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so you're ready to go out. So it has to be powerful. It comes powerfully, but at night it just comes down, right?
So all of these things come into play in terms of targeting the audience and in terms of choosing the voice and then directing the voice and helping the voice actor understand your considerations and why you want them to be in a certain place, how you get them there.
So somebody just sent a message right now. He said, if a script is a foundation before the voice, or if the script is the first voice, what role do copywriters play in delivering the script to the voiceover artist? What role do the copywriters play in delivering the script? Yes, in helping the voiceover artist to deliver the script.
Well, I would say the best way for the voice actor to look at the script in terms of it having been created by a copywriter, or it could have been created by the producer.
Exactly.
You never really know where the script is coming from. But while the script is the first voice, it's also your first director. So scripts are not all written in one specific format, right? You get scripts all the time as a voice actor, and they come, sometimes all the words are capitalized, sometimes not. Sometimes there's spaces between, large spaces between sentences. Sometimes they're using ellipses, the little ... which, or they might write in the word pause. So the scripts are generally written in such a way that it's intended to help the voice actor understand what the writer wants. So they may put large spacing between sentences because they want you to take your time between those sentences.
Right.
But when you look at the script, one thing to do is to try to figure out, what is the writer trying to tell me? Beyond just the words, the way the writer formats the script on the page is often his first attempt to give you an idea of how he wants the script to go. So when you're a voice actor and you're working on an audition and you have no director, you can really lean on how the script has been formatted to give you some clues.
Right. Somebody also asked here, how important is it for a voice actor to have the ability of writing scripts? Is it very necessary for a voiceover talent to be a script writer as well?
Sure. It certainly doesn't hurt to practice writing scripts. Now, it doesn't mean you have to become a professional copywriter, but writing scripts teaches you something from a whole different perspective. And when you write something, one thing that happens is you kind of fall in love with it. You have an appreciation for the work you put into writing it, and to make it work for the brand or the product or the messaging that's being called for. Because writers aren't just writing freestyle; they have a job to do. They have a boss, so they have a target they have to hit. So that script, by the time they say it's complete, other people have weighed in and agreed. Okay, we hit the bullseye with the script, so that part is ready to go. So you kind of fall in love with your script, and it would help the voice actor when they're writing a script to understand how important the words are to the people who gave them that script. Some voice actors, especially if they're new, they might feel like, oh, this script could have been better, or why did he do it this way or that way? They develop an adversarial relationship with the copywriter or with the script. And that resistance holds them back from a full and free audition or performance if they reach that stage. So writing will certainly help you develop an appreciation for the words on a whole other level. But practice and an open heart to the writer will also help you gain that experience.
Wow, that's really good. That's really good. I mean, I like the fact that you said writing would always help you fall in love with the words, you know, as you. I mean, that's very important for a voice actor or a voiceover talent. It's very, very important. Another person just asked here now. There are a lot of questions coming in. Do you ever direct voice actors for audiobooks? And do you have any advice on the best way to bring out the best outcome for the actors who read? And the person says, P.S., your wife is so gorgeous and so animated.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I do not direct audiobooks. It's a very specific craft. I'm aware of it. I'm very familiar with it. It's a very specific craft, and I greatly appreciate the directors who really do audiobooks well. I'm more short form and documentary style, where I'm almost always working with visuals, and of course there are radio spots, but they typically stem from what we're already doing on the television side. So so they're still stimulated from what was initially a visual prospect, a visual product, and you don't have to go too much further with radio. If you do a really great television spot, it will work even if you turn the sound down. Right. And vice versa. If you do a really great radio spot, you don't need pictures. It will paint the picture for you. So as far as audiobooks go, that's not my expertise, and I leave that to the guys and gals who really do that well. As far as what do I do to bring things out, to help an actor better understand what I'm looking for, because when you work with a director, he already has a vision. It's not like when you're just doing an audition, or you're working with a voice coach who may just be working with you to help you be nimble and to give you the ability to go in different directions and to understand different types of scripts and genres. When you come to the director, to the job, there's already a vision that we have in mind. And so we just want to make sure we get you to that promised land.
Exactly.
Right? Now, you may bring something unexpected that the director says, "Oh my God, we have to insert that. We got to get that. That has to be a part of it. I never thought of that before. I'm so happy he did that." And that's great, and that's wonderful. And every director loves it when a voice actor brings that extra something that was unexpected, that they can tell right away has just improved the production value of my project. This guy just made me look like a genius. So you love that, but a director has to really understand the project deeply enough that if the actor is stuck, or if the actor says, you know, I'm not quite understanding where to go here, that the director can understand why that might be, talk with the actor. It may be necessary to talk with the actor to get a sense of what's creating that log jam, and guide them and help them through it. If the actor doesn't need any help, leave him alone. Let him do his thing. Enjoy it. But when you see that something may not be working, then you go into nurturing mode, and you work with the human being to human being, and you help each other, and you get it there.
So the director has to make sure that he understands the script much more than the actor himself, such that he's able to explain and also go deeper if the actor gets stuck, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. And this is especially true with long form. So when I do documentaries that may be an hour long or 90 minutes long, then is a much longer, more complex story that the narrator is telling, and much more easy to get lost in that story and not necessarily understand where the emotional highs and lows show up. So the director has to have gone through that piece, that script many times, and already made notes, knowing that he's going to be working with an actor. And the actor may not have checked out a certain date and gone all the way back to find out what was happening in the world on that date in that part of the world that the documentary is referring to. But the director needs to know that stuff and be able to tell the actor, well, you know, there was a war going on in the country next door, and that's why the people are on edge, and that's why we're directing you to take a calming approach at this point in the story.
Amazing. I'm learning so much. I'm taking notes, because this is, I know some things, but I just, life is a time of long-term learning. You just keep learning and learning and learning. So somebody says here, how is the current situation with COVID-19 impacting the voice acting community and business in real terms? How is how is it?
For one, the voice actors are, a lot of them who have been auditioning from home but able to go into the studio to do their actual jobs, are now scrambling to beef up their home studios. So there's no going out to the studio right now. Right. It is not considered an essential employee. So you have to have a broadcast quality home studio. And I don't think that will change. After COVID-19 is over, everyone will be that much more accustomed to working from home. And the freedom that it offers, just in terms of commuting, if you have to commute, and on the production side, having to wait for someone to show up physically, or to coordinate that, they get to drop that. They get to work with this person at home. There's also the advantage of, if something changes an hour after the voice actor has left, you just call him up. And he's right back. He's right back there. Let's go again. So those who haven't become accustomed to working from home from the production side will definitely start to see that there's some advantages. And why have this person come into the office when we can just have another hour working on our script and then call them up? So also casting directors are starting to recognize that they can set up a Zoom session, put people in the waiting room, and then call them in one by one and audition them that way. So it cuts down on the amount of work that they have to do. So that's the first thing that I've noticed that COVID-19 changed quickly. People immediately started doing Zoom sessions and beefing up their home studios, you know, calling in the technicians. I got a little buzz, I got a little hum. I never worried about getting it perfect because I was always going to a studio. Now I have to have it perfect. And I have to understand how to keep it that way. That's a big change. Another big change is that because we're not bringing actors into the sound stages or out in location to shoot them for commercials, a lot more voice acting is being required just to overdub existing footage. So I've seen a number of spots that stood out to me because I loved them. And I've seen those spots now air on television with a completely different voiceover and a completely different subject. Because it's those kinds of spots that are just sort of designed to be sort of generic in their imagery. They're not about a specific product that you're showing and turning around, but about the general brand, say, of a phone company. And how our workers do a great job. So you're seeing pictures of phone operators stepping into homes to fix a problem, or the trucks driving down a beautiful roadside. And it's just those kinds of scenic images. So you can go in and just put new voiceovers over them, and as long as you're talking about the same company, they make sense. So there's a lot of that going on where you're just overdubbing existing footage or pulling footage off the shelf and re-editing that. So there's more focus on the voice actor versus all the production stuff that you would normally have to do in terms of actors themselves being physically on location with cameras, etc.
Wow. So are you saying that the demand for voice actors has risen? Like, is it on the rise right now?
I wouldn't say it's on the rise, except for in areas like e-learning. Right. Since many of the schools have had to figure out how do we teach by computer because none of the students can come in. So that has shown a light on the value of e-learning and the importance of being ready to use e-learning when there's another emergency situation. And whether it's an emergency or not, we learn things from delving in to working in this new way that we come to appreciate. And then we say, hey, let's do it that way. Wow. Also, I think it's probably excited the medical community to think more about how to use voiceover for for e-learning purposes or industrial learning, practical learning between doctors and other medical professionals. It's just brought medicine to the fore. So in that world, that means it's going to churn up more thought about how do we use voice actors. But I wouldn't say that the voiceover work has increased, but I don't think it's necessarily decreased.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be on the increase because, for example, I was speaking to a guy who was telling me that the audiobook industry, for example, we were talking to this guy from Learning Ally last. Was he on Saturday? That was
okay. Yeah, I noticed that, Michael.
Michael said the listenership or the subscription went up from 2,000 to 47,000. Just from audiobooks, because a lot of people are listening to more books now and doing a lot of all those audio things right now. So
yes,
I think for people that are in the long forms, I think the demand for voiceover artists in those sectors are actually on the demand or on the rise. Okay, so
no, absolutely.
Let me go to the next question. It says, what recommended devices for a basic voiceover recording from home would you advise? Yeah.
You mean like in terms of microphones and interfaces and software?
Yeah, software.
That is not my expertise. I leave those questions to audio
To
engineers.
all the technicians. Great, great,
Yeah,
great.
the audio engineers, they are the black belts in that stuff.
Exactly.
Talk to them.
Right, right. Okay, let's talk about Voice Arts Awards. In case you don't know what Voice Arts Awards are, guys, that is the Grammys. I call it the Grammys of voiceovers. One day, I'm sure by hopefully I will hold that thing and say, yeah, dedicated to my guys in
Yeah,
Africa.
I can see it. I see you doing it.
Yeah, I believe it, man. I believe it. Right. So somebody says here, here's the question. Okay, yes. What are the outstanding qualities or expertise that makes VO talents and producers eligible for the SOVAS nominations and awards?
Well, first, there are 90 different categories.
Right.
And so part of your eligibility has to do with what categories you fit into. Now these are, on the technical side, the work has to be produced within 18 months, the past 18 months, I believe it. So it'll be January 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. So that's the period of time that the work has to have been produced and made available to the public. Now, I mentioned the categories because the criteria changes depending on the category. So if it's a commercial spot for television, then obviously the judges are looking at not just the voice actor, but how the voice actor's voice dovetails with visuals. And so that changes the dynamic of what the judges are looking for. And if it's radio, obviously you're only listening to the voice, and without any visuals. So there's still production value. Music and sound effects are still a part of that. So the creativity is one of the categories, one of the areas that we look at. The what's being done as a result of the voice actor is a choice by the actor versus a choice by the director. You have no way of knowing that. So you have to combine them. If you're judging the voice acting, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Whatever they did that's great is their choice. So yes, your creativity, your ability to match your tone with the subject matter at hand, and how well that seems to come across. These things matter. Ultimately, it's a great performance. A performance that's authentic and true, that touches people, that touches, moves, and inspires the listener. That's going to cut through. It's not so academic that you can really list. Here's the criteria to read, and now just do your spots based on that. It really comes down to performance and what makes a great performance. A performance that touches, moves, and inspires the listener to feel something, to understand something newly, to feel compelled to take action, whether it's to buy the product or to feel love for a situation, to want to help, to want to take a vacation. So or if it's audiobook, there are many different characters oftentimes, and the stories are take much more dramatic turns and shifts, and the plot lines are very crucial. So being able to convey these things is very important. With audiobooks, again, judges really look at how well you allow the writer's voice to come through versus your own. Because when you're listening to an audiobook, you want to hear the story. You're not listening to hear the voice. You're not looking at the voice actor as you would, say, a comedian on a stage who's doing, mimicking different talents' voices, impersonations. You have to leave the writer's story available to the listener. That's why they're there, to hear the writer's story. So the voice actor has to really balance not getting in the way of that. That becomes a criteria that the judges are listening for when they judge the work. But the judges are very experienced. They've all done a lot of voice acting in many cases, or directing and producing. Wow. And even though we give them criteria to look at as a guide, they're professionals. They know when they're hearing something that's real and true. They know when it's good. They can not look at the criteria and still know that's badass. And so, you know, just do good work. Get used to understanding when you're delivering a high level performance. And I think for most actors, they can sort of feel it when they're in the moment of it. They can kind of feel it and sense it without commenting on it, without thinking about how I'm sounding and am I doing it right. And when they're in the moment, they stop and they go, "How was that?" Because I don't know. I was acting.
I was just enjoying myself.
Yeah. So yeah, just I would say focus on performance and excellence. Develop your chops. Do the work, and when it's complete, you look at your body of work and you choose which pieces you personally feel are worthy of putting into the program. So a lot of it has to do with how you feel. I've had people say that they were afraid to enter because they didn't think their work was good enough.
Good enough,
not because the work wasn't good enough, though. In the end, when you talk to them, they didn't feel they were good enough. They didn't think of themselves as winning an award. Like you were saying, you want to see yourself, you're visualizing holding up that statue. You know, you got to go there. You can't be afraid of it. There have been people who entered and then said, "I can't believe I won. I thought for sure there would be much better work than what I produced." But then they were surprised to find that their work actually cut through, and the judges chose it.
Right. Wow. So what's like the success story of the Voice Arts Award, for example? Who are the kind of guys that have won it? How colorful has it made their career? And I know some of these things, but I just want these people that are the guys listening to us to just hear some of it from you.
So I'm not sure. Are you asking about the nature of the show itself, or what?
Yeah.
What value it has?
So for example, I know people like Muhammad Ali. What's the guy? The Lion King guy. Phil Lamarr and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Lion King guy. So James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Yeah, that's yeah. You know, a lot of them have won these awards, and you know, it's actually helped the industry over there grow and stuff. So I just wanted you to just talk a bit about the awards and how important it is for a voice actor to look towards winning such awards.
Yes. Well, you know, when we first conceived the idea of the Voice Arts Awards, we knew that it would give people an opportunity to focus beyond the microphone, the booth, the day-to-day work, and to really think about, you know, what of the work, the body of work that I'm doing is really great work, you know, and if not, what do I have to do to make it great? So it's not just good enough, but to get focused on pursuing excellence. It's part of how I operate. So that was one of the first big shifts that I saw once we had an awards for this specific community, that people began to look at their work differently and began to work differently to achieve a higher level of achievement, of success, of quality. And so that's first and foremost one of the key things that an award show does for people. It gets you focused on the pursuit of excellence.
Excellent.
The other thing that happened is once people won the award on the very first show, that's where James Earl Jones was awarded with the Icon Award at our very first show. Wow. He was beautiful. Wow. But he didn't come out first. The first winners were, you know, everyday voice actors. You know, they took the stage first to get their awards. And when I saw the tears and the heart and soul coming through in their speeches,
Wow.
It was amazing. It had me in tears backstage because this community has been hidden away, working hard, investing their money, investing their time, you know, starving like other actors to get there, and no one knows they do it. You know, no one sees them, no one congratulates them. They do the work. The producer says, "Good job, thank you, see you next week," and you're off to the next thing. Finally, they got a chance to be appreciated by their peers.
Right.
And as a result of that, their family and friends who weren't exactly clear what they did saw them winning an award and said, "Wait a minute, tell me more about what you do."
Right.
You know, why did they give you an award? What did you do? So it opened up something new for the actor to be appreciated and to be validated. It opened something new for the world of people that they interact with, so that they felt better understood for the quality of the work that they do. And then once you become a winner of any award, you're able to talk to your buyers and other facilitators like talent agents and casting directors about the work that you won for, and they see you differently.
Yeah, true.
Once people see you as, okay, well, you won an award, so there must be something to it.
Right.
You know, we should definitely take a look and see what is it about this guy or this woman that made the difference. So it becomes a great marketing tool once you start winning awards. If you watch any major feature film with an Academy Award winner in it, they always introduce that actor as an Academy Award winning actor.
Award winner, yeah.
Right?
Right. True.
That's marketing. Once you've won an award, you want to share that with people. You don't just want to put it on the shelf and smile at it when you get home.
Yeah.
You want to let people know that you won it. Put it out front. Let them know. I'm no joke. Also, the award winners are able to buy certificates and statues, some of them, for the producers that they worked with. So some of the voice actors, they'll win the award, and then they'll order a statue for the director. And now every time that director walks in his office, he sees your name on a golden statue. His name is on it too, but he sees your name.
Your name.
You don't have to call him. You're in front of him every day now.
Right.
So that's a great way to maintain a relationship with the people you work with. You know, you win, even if you get nominated, you can still, you can purchase a certificate. You know, they have these beautiful certificates with your name on it and the statue. You can still get a certificate as a nominee, and you get one for the people that you work with. They're going to love it. They're going to appreciate it. They're going to say, first of all, really, our work won an award? Yes, it did. And now you have something to show for it. So this is a great way to maintain your relationship with that person, because they're going to walk in and see that framed plaque or certificate on their wall in their office, and that you can't buy.
Amazing, man. I'm sure everybody here is looking forward to winning one. But I'm sure I'm looking forward to winning one very soon. Hopefully.
I'm behind you all the way.
Yeah. Okay, somebody said I should ask you, what is your proudest piece of production you worked on in voiceover? What is your proudest?
In voiceover? Well, it really does have to do with creating the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences, creating a nonprofit platform. And I mention nonprofit because when it's nonprofit, the business structure is such that no one really owns it.
Right.
It's owned by the community of people who keep it thriving.
Yeah.
And so
and that way,
so it will last.
That continues from generation to generation.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And so, you know, my role is to keep it alive and to bring in people who will take it over and continue to run it. Just like the Oscars, you know, the Oscars have outlived everyone who was there at the beginning.
Yeah, very correct.
So I'm very proud to have created this, and we're going into the 7th year, and believe it or not, we're still toddlers, and the Oscars, I don't know, they're getting close to 100, so 7 years is just a baby.
Wow.
So it's still a very fragile project that we have to nurture, but within creating that, we had the opportunity to let's create a grander award beyond the voice of a product or a book or a production documentary or PSA. What about the power of the human voice in and of itself to create positive change in the world, to serve the disadvantaged communities, the most vulnerable people among us, to protect the environment, to deal with social issues. Our voices as voice actors, I believe voice actors are in a unique position to take a second look at the power of their voices. It's not just about earning $1 today for this commercial, but as a voice actor, what do you understand about the power of the human voice? And what will be your legacy? Okay, what will be your legacies? You want to think about what good can I leave behind with my voice? Not just my physical voice, but my voice in terms of my actions and my choices and paying it forward to help others. And out of that came the Muhammad Ali Voice of Humanity honor. So we created a separate award, and Muhammad Ali, who you probably know is a great, legendary boxer.
He was legendary.
Yeah, and his voice was known and his face was known. At one point, he was the most popular face on the planet. He could go anywhere and people would know him. But
he's been to Nigeria. He came to Nigeria about twice or a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure there were huge crowds for him.
Whoa!
But he was a man, though he was a ferocious warrior in the ring, he was a man who was all heart. And wherever he saw injustice, wherever he saw a way to help, he was drawn to it. And before he died, Joan and I had the opportunity to ask him if he would let us create a statue in his honor that would become this award. And because of his Muslim faith, that was something that they had to really consider deeply, because they have a thing about creating idols, likenesses that people would worship. And so we had to be sure that we weren't stepping on that ground. And we did create a bust, just his head and shoulders and his likeness. Before he died, he was available to say yes and allow us to have this gift to be able to give an award. And it's only one that we give away once a year. Again, it's called the Muhammad Ali Voice of Humanity honor. And it goes to an individual who is impacting the world in a positive way.
With their
voice. I say the world on a global level, having to do with, philanthropic endeavors. So I'm very proud of that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Having been a part of creating that.
That is something to be proud of. Okay, so we're coming to we're rounding up now. But the last question will be for anyone who is looking to delve into voice directing or vocal directing. What advice would you have for them? Are there materials or training to garner knowledge on the craft? So people that want to go into voice directing, vocal directing, what are the things that they should consider? And are there any materials or podcasts by you?
Well,
or
it's directing is much more one-on-one. It's very intimate. It's very personal. If you work with if you want to direct voice actors, work with voice actors who are experienced. Right. They will teach you more. They've already worked with more directors than you've worked with voice actors. So you can trust the voice actors to help you understand what you need to help them. So when you don't walk in with a big director hat on. Walk in honest I don't understand how to do this yet.
Mm, mm, mm,
So walk in honest, and voice actors will teach you a lot about what you need to help them. So that's one thing. Leave the ego at the door. You're the beginner. You want to learn. You can work with people who have worked with many directors. So there's something they have that they can teach you. Many voice actors go on to direct because they're getting that experience. The other thing is working with, there are a number of excellent books about directing.
right.
You can't, well, one of them would be On Directing. That's the title of the book.
Okay, on directing. Okay.
Now, this is about theater directing. It's not specifically about voice acting, because voice acting is a small subset of acting.
Right.
But when you look at what's required to analyze a play, for example, a full play, and all the characters in it, say you have a play with 6 or 7 key characters, and you have to go in and understand each one of those personalities and the life behind each one of those personalities. And then you have to go and cast the actors that are going to play those roles. And then you have to direct. Now you've got 7 different lives that you're directing. Because as a director, you know each character from birth to the time they hit the stage. So there's a lot of research to do. But it's in understanding how to direct actors for a full piece, like a play or a film or a short film. Or a radio drama, for that matter, that will start to help you recognize, one, all the elements of the character, so that when the actor begins to perform, you're able to see how much of that is showing up, and to help guide the director to help guide the actor to that if they're not seeing it. Or again, as we started earlier, if the actor gets stuck at some point and they're unable to figure out the emotional tone or the intention that they should have for a given scene or moment, the director knows and can step in and guide. It's not about pushing people around and saying action and cut and controlling. It's about you want to create a space where magical things can happen, where people can be free to do their thing, and that's the space you nurture and cultivate. So the actor can rise to the occasion and shine.
Right. Wow. Man, Rudy, we've learned so much. Honestly, I want to bring you back again. And I want to bring you to Nigeria, man. I want to bring you to Nigeria to come speak, right? Someday.
I'll be there. I would love to do that. I've been close.
Yeah. So you want to give a shout out to our guys over here, everyone here, watching you and listening to you. You want to give a shout out to them?
Well, sure. First of all, Africa, I love you. Nigeria, I love you. You are my birthplace. I've connected with Africa as an African American forever. Yes. I had an opportunity to visit South Africa and Ghana on 2 different occasions, both countries. You know, there's that thing.
There's a connect.
There's that connection, and it hasn't been an easy connection being here, growing up here in America. It's been distorted on every level. So yeah, I'm with you.
We love you too, bro. And hopefully, very soon. Is the Voice Arts Award happening this year? Fingers crossed, right?
It is happening. Right now, what we're toying with is whether it will happen on its normal date of November, or whether we will move it to February. Because of the lockdowns and the many different businesses that have been scheduled and events that have been rescheduled, we're having to dance in that conversation until we can nail it down.
All right. No problem. Because I'm hoping to be there. I already have my visa already, so it's not a problem. I'll be there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Now, as far as entering the Voice Arts Awards go, though, even if we don't do the Voice Arts Awards because of restrictions, it will happen online. You know, we will still take in entries, and we will still have the judges vote on them, and there'll still be winners, and then we'll start shipping trophies.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time. Hope to do
thank
this
you.
sometime again.